Hello, 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 and happy Friendship Fridays. I'm so glad that you came to give me 30 minutes of your time. Tonight is the last one of this particular series of the Get Ready series, and next week series is Need to Know series. So this one is the last one. Please make sure to go ahead and get into the chat, ask questions, share, like, comment, yeah. So let's go ahead and roll up our sleeves and get into it. Tonight's episode is Get Your Mental and Emotional in Order. This is something I'm still battling with and dealing with. Every day it is a constant struggle and up and down and good days and bad days, but this is all the process of the new normal, right? And so statistically, women are leading in primary caregivers, primary caregivers, and report higher levels of caregiver depression and burden because they do more of the caregiving tasks. So they do the cooking, the cleaning, the feeding, the showering, bathing, and it normally falls on the woman. Not too many men shower their own moms or their own female loved ones. And so that no matter what sex it is, it normally falls on the woman. I'm sorry. And so, in most cases, having to move to accommodate the new living arrangement, a ranch home or a first floor apartment, showering and bathroom setups, wheelchair accessible bathrooms, lower beds and hospital beds, all these stresses weighs on the primary caregiver shoulders, right? And making those modifications to the home prior to a crisis happening will kind of put things at ease for you. So if you own your home, of course, dedicating a room for if it goes left with a loved one, dedicating that space, decluttering that space to prepare just in case the basement, getting it finished, or get, just carving out a piece of space for that person in case they have to come and move with you. That's if, of course, if you live in your own home. If you're in an apartment, just taking one of the extra rooms. If you have an extra room, just dedicating that space to prepare just in case. Caregiver burnout is a real thing, right? And I personally have been a part of that group. I have lived in that space for quite some time. And I personally stay on go and stay on ready. And so that within itself will cause a burnout. I operated on 1,000,000% crisis mode for the past year now. And so sometimes it can be overwhelming. For me, it's about 80% overwhelming. Most of the times I'm having little miniature breaks and crying sessions and etc. to release that stress, but it's just something that occurs. All the behind the scenes stuff that has to be done, especially if you're caring for a child or children. I only have one, but there's still a lot. Now that we're in a senior year, it's a whole bunch of moving pieces for her senior year, and I still have to be a mom to her. And now I have to do mothering to my own mother. Okay, so I have to make sure she eats properly. I have to make sure that I manage her diabetes. I have to make sure that you're actually moving around so you won't have any sores or develop any break of the skin because you're not moving. I have to make sure all the pieces fit together. And sometimes that can be a lot. And according to the studies in 2020 by the National Alliance for Caregiving, there are 42 million Americans that has provided unpaid adult care for people over 50. 42 million people. Now that was in 2020. So I can only imagine what the numbers are in 2024. I couldn't find numbers for now because I'm pretty sure they're still doing the data, but I'm sure it has to be more now. Because the baby boomers are getting older. So to think that 42 million people are caregivers, that is an astounding number. And 40 to 70% of family caregivers report clinical symptoms of depression, and 23% report caregiving has affected their physical health. There has been moments in this journey where I just go climb in the bed. So I know that I've been operating with depression, and that's not good for my kid. That's not good for me being a caregiver, but it's something that I deal with, right? And so Burnout is the state of an emotional exhaustion that results from wearing out or feeling totally used up due to too many demands on one's energy, strength, and or resources, right? Stressful demands of these duties, especially if you're raising kids, which I said before. Financial strains is the biggest key. That's the biggest piece of it because one of the episodes was getting your money in order. And so please make sure you check it out if you haven't. But that financial strain can weigh heavily on the caregiver because it's like, well, how's everything going to work? How am I going to put this together? Where are the pieces? What do I need to do? Right. And so that part within itself, I know at least for me, being responsible for an extra person when I only had one child for a reason, so I could be out here in the streets. Not to knock anybody that has multiple kids, but for me, it's a little hard pill to swallow, right? So managing burnout, aka caregiver stress, I have some few tips that kind of will help you get through this process, just so you can be better, so you can come out on the other side of this. And like I said, this right here, this episode is a real home hitter for me because I'm actually living and breathing it. Like I'm actually within it now. So, identifying that you have a problem, accepting where you are mentally and emotionally, and simply doing something about it. So, for me, for a minute, I thought everything was okay. And every day for about 5 months, I cried every day, right? And I was becoming very systematic, very robotic. And I did what I needed to do for my kid. I did what I needed to do for my businesses. At the time, I only had two. I now have three with Senior Crisis Bestie. And I would do what I needed to do for my mother. And then I would just climb in bed. And I would cry in the morning and I would cry at night. So twice a day, I would cry. Um, I lost quite a few friends in this process, right? Or relationships in this process over this past year. The people that I was really, really close to, that relationship is like non existent or is like a long handle spoon type of relationship. I became in a place of isolation. I knew I needed help, but I was scared to ask for help because I'm always considered the strong person, right? And I'm always considered the person that got it under control and I can get it done. And also because it was my mom. Like, it's my mom, so you're supposed to do it. And so I just was on a sense of, okay, well, I'm just going to thug this out. Well, no, I needed some help. And so I asked, and you must ask and accept help, okay? Trust me, that help will not come the way you think it was supposed to come, right? Or from the people that you thought it was supposed to come from. That's the key. So when you expect help, you have in your head who it's supposed to come from and how it's supposed to come, but it may not even come out that way, right? And so for me, the people that I thought was going to be the ride or dies weren't and aren't, right? And the people that I was super close to, that I knew they were a part of my village, I just didn't think they would show up for me the way that they did. Like they went over and beyond. But I didn't see that coming because I was like, yeah, we cool, we tight. I love you guys. Y'all my village. We travel together. I love on your kids. You love on my kid. It's amazing. We're family. But I didn't think they would show up for me the way that they did, right? And so, because I knew my village members, but how they showed up, I didn't know how they was going to show up. And simple things like showing up at the hospital so I can get a break, sitting with my mom so I can get orders done, or go to the VA office, flying in to give me relief, doing the tough behind the scenes stuff for me so I can float. Um, Helping me break down my mother's house. That was a big one. Like declutter the house and get rid of all the things and all that stuff. Calling me, letting me vent. All the key players, they know who they are. And I humbly thank them. I honor them. I'm grateful to them because they were the life jackets when I felt like I was drowning, right? And but I didn't see them before all this happened. I knew I loved them. I knew they loved me, but I didn't know they was going to be my raft, right? So just asking for help and accepting the help from whichever way it comes, right? Um, but of course, you still have to have some discernment because some people Let's be real, are there just to be nosy. Like, let's just keep this thing real. Some people are not going to really be in there 10 toes down with you, helping you like they're supposed to help you, when they just really want to find out what's going on, how much money is in the bank, what are we doing about selling the house. But like, some people just want to be all in the mix. So you got to still have discernment. Okay, another thing you can do for managing stress is self care. When I tell you, oh my God, this was the best thing that anybody ever told me, to get some self care. So, um, it's just taking time and stealing moments of quiet and peace for yourself. Taking time doing the things that you love, things that once brought you joy, anything that brings you a little peace, right? Just brings you a little bit closer to your old self, your normal self. And so, um, just mentally checking out, right? And it's okay to mentally check out, because you got so many other pieces moving on. You got so many things that you have to do. So why not mentally check out, right? And the best thing my cousin ever said to me, my cousin Chevy told me that, G, she said, G, everybody in my family call me G. And G, you are the house of cards. And if you fall, who takes care of your mom and your kid? Because at that particular time, I was burning the candle on both ends. I wasn't sleeping. I was barely eating. I was running around like a chicken with no head. Um, I was running straight on empty, right? It was insane. I was at that particular time when she told me that, I think I was getting like 3 hours of sleep. Still doing everything I need to do, still running my businesses, still going to my daughter's swim meet, swim practices, still doing my mom stuff. Like, it was ridiculous. Like, it was insane how I was operating in that space. And so when she said it, it kind of hit me like a ton of bricks, because it was like, you're right. Who would step in for these two people that are on my back now? Like, who's going to do it? So I need to get it together. And so, because I was operating in depression, and because I had became a whole systematic robot, I had to stop myself and say, okay, you have to take self-care moments. And so now I go and walk around the grocery store. I go, I know that's crazy, but it gives me peace, quiet, and joy. I don't have to hear mom. I don't have to hear Giovanni. I don't have to hear anything. I'm just walking around the grocery store. Me and Publix and Kroger have become good friends. I paint. Well, I already did that, but I take the time to do that more. I take walks. I try to work out. Sometimes it don't work out. The workout don't work out. Um, I go to the movies. Like today, we went to the movies. I grab lunch and dinner alone. You don't realize how amazing it is to have dinner or lunch by yourself. When you're in the midst of a crisis, in the midst of a million things, just to have lunch by yourself or dinner by yourself, for just the quiet of it all. And you just, sometimes you have to steal these moments for your sanity and your peace of mind, right? Finding a support group. You have got to find a support group. So my aunt Tina had recommended a support group because she's a caregiver for my uncle Mickey, and she was like, Giovanni, you're going to need someone to talk to, and that's going through the same things you're going through, because some of your friends is not going to understand what you're going through, the emotions of it, the mentalness, the mental breakdown of it. And I was like, Aunt Tina, I'm good. All right, I'll get one. But I never did it, right? So I was operating in the space of, like I said, the depression for months, when I could have just had my group and I would have been good. So I found this group. Well, this group found me. They actually found me. It's called Girl Genius, girlgenius.com. Lifeless plug. And it's an amazing group. We have accountability to each other. It's a group of women. A couple of women were caregivers for their mothers, so they was able to give me tips and help me through this process. And they check on me when I'm having bad days. They send me little text message to lift me up. So it is an amazing thing. And I'm sure, fellas, you can always go on Google University or your church home or your faith home, whatever your religion may be, and find some type of caregiver group, support group for you there. They're everywhere. Some people, or and if you can't find one, start your own, because you may be helping somebody else, right? And it helps you get everything off your chest, like to be able to have the relief of people going through the same thing you're going through. Okay. And I knew that I needed it because I was popping off on people. My tolerance for BS was super, super low. Right. And I just couldn't get my footing. So the best thing I did was sign up with them. They have been amazing to me, and it has really helped me get it together. I look forward to meeting with them. Grab a counselor or lay on the couch. I am so for the whole mental health thing, and laying on the couch does not mean you're weak. This person is non-biased, and you could just let it have it. Like, and they're not even going to give you, they're just going to give you the relief part of it, right? Or they may ask open-ended questions that you answer, so then that way they're not telling you what to do. I've had a life coach before. He was amazing. And it's just something to help you. It's just something, another tool to be able for you to unpack your emotions. Because if you keep that stuff bottled up, it's going to one spill over. Stress can cause heart attacks and all kinds of health issues, adverse health issues by high level of stress. And you just don't need that. You're already a caregiver. You can't caregive for yourself. So um, definitely lay on a couch, grab you a counselor. They have them virtually now. So glad I did it. You don't even have to go into the office. You can just talk to them on the computer. And they don't really know you. You don't really know them. And you can just get it all off your chest and go about your business and hang up and then call them back again later. Like on your scheduled time, of course. But nonetheless, like it's just such an amazing feeling to be able to talk to somebody just to get it out. And you may have depression and grief and sadness and resentment and denial. Hell, I went through denial for a minute, and a bad case I had of the why me's. I still get those. Like I still have an outbreak of the why me's. And that the counselor just helps me get through that when I'm having that moment of the why me. Why did this happen to me? Which is the why me's. And someone may question, why is grief even on the list? And just think of it this way. If you're thrown a curveball, right? And you didn't even know you was in a baseball game, right? You didn't even know you was in the game. You may grieve your old life when you was a spectator in the stands, right? So that's the way I look at it. Like now you're grieving your old life and you're also grieving your new life, because your new life, everything has to change. Everything is totally different. Someone is totally dependent upon you to do certain things, and you may not just want to do it that day. You may just want to lay in the bed today and you want to watch Lifetime movies. You can't do that. You can't do that no more. So that part of it is why grief will be in the list. Okay. Also, something else you can do is release the aggression. So my aunt Paulette recommended, in the height of this thing, she recommended I get a punching bag, right? Because I was so angry and I was so resentful, because I'm in my early 40s and I was like, how is this happening to me? Why, God, is this happening to me? And so she was like, you probably need to get a punch bag and just punch it all out, right? And because I was operating in crisis mode, every couple of days I would find out something new, some new secret, something that was hidden that had to be pushed on my plate, right? And so it was just like, the level of anger was through the roof. So I got this punching bag off my favorite place, where I told you, Amazon. And I was a little too angry because I knocked it across the room. So either I was too angry or I had the wrong kind. But either way, I would definitely recommend that you um, get some type of punching bag, kickboxing, something to get the aggression out, just so you can release. Because the release is the most important thing. Another thing you can do to manage this stress is journal writing or writing a book. If the couch just isn't your thing, or beating the Pope out of a bag just isn't it either, just writing it down. Write down a journal, and it can be like a reflection journal. You look back at it over it a year later, or like me right now, I'm writing a book about the experience. I go back in time and look at the chapters that I've written, and it's just like, what? This is the space I was in. Oh, this is crazy. So anything to help you get that out. The goal is to get the release out, because that's going to help manage your stress and whatever else is going on emotionally. Some days you won't write at all. So I'm gonna just keep it real. Some days, it may be multiple days, it may be weeks you don't write nothing. And then some days you're gonna be like me, I'll be in there like Terry McMillan. I'll be writing up a storm some days. So I'm like, oh my God, I got 2 chapters done. Some days you be so frustrated with all this going on, you just start writing. And finally, one of the things that I learned in counseling, or I learned out of my group, was picking your battles. So this was the hardest thing for me to fight, because for me, Anybody that knows me, like really knows me, knows that I'm a germaphobe through and through. Like I'm the person that's wiping everything down with bleach wipes and um, making sure we clean the silverware at the restaurant, and I'm doing all these things, right? So um, sometimes the most your patient can be very difficult, right? And they may not want to bathe. And that is the hardest thing for me to do, to say we're not bathing. What you mean we're not bathing? We got to be bathing. So, but what I learned from the group is you have to pick your battle. And sometimes you gotta say, you know what, we'll do it tomorrow. You don't want to, you gonna protest today? Okay. And um a friend of mine that's in the group, Selena, she was like, she'll let you know because she's a caregiver. She was like, she'll let you know when she start itching. And I was like, what? But it makes sense. Like, why are you fighting for someone to take a bath and they just don't want to do it? Now, we have limits in this thing because I still am a very through germaphobe. So we go about 4 days. After 4 days, we need to go and dip in that water because I can't do it after 4 5 days. So, and granted, you get wash ups every day because that's my compromise. No, we ain't got to get in the shower every day. That's the picking of the battle. But we're gonna put some water somewhere. We're gonna hit them hot spots every day, whether you like it or not, just so I can have a little peace of mind. So I can be a little bit freer and be okay. And that's the compromise. So yes, I'm not doing a knockout drag out for a bath per se, but we are definitely washing something. So yeah, but picking your battles. Sometimes they may not want to eat what you cooked. We deal with that a lot. And it can hurt your feelings. I know for me it hurts my feelings. Sometimes the patient will say something um that's way out of pocket, way out the side of your neck, and have you feeling like they're not grateful. That will hurt your feelings, but you gotta say, you know what, I know I'm doing God's work. So I had to say a lot of that. You know what, I'm doing the God's work, and I'll go vent to one of my friends or somebody in the group or whatever. But you know, it's just a nature of the beast because they too are dealing with something emotionally and mentally because they too are not like they once were. Okay, so that within itself is a lot. And I can just tell you this, you simply just focus on what you can do. Everything you can't do is another day. Don't stress about what you can't get done. I was operating for a very long time in the superwoman space, and the superwoman space could have took me off this earth. Like just keeping it real. And so I had to get to the space of, okay, the dish is not gonna be done tonight. Okay, we just gonna have some. Let me pop the frozen chili out of the freezer because I'm not cooking today. Okay, you know what? For dinner, we're gonna have tuna fish. Matter of fact, we're gonna have pancakes. Like I had to get to the space of releasing because me trying to do everything for everybody and not doing nothing for myself was way too much. And so I had to start taking time to leave in the middle of the day and go get a manicure and a pedicure. I probably shouldn't, but I need that's my self care. And getting a pedicure by myself with not having kid and my mother sitting there waiting for me to get done. So I just sometimes just you have to just kind to just make sure you get off the highway, that fast highway to a burnout. That's not what you may want for your life. So you just sometimes have to kind to step in and intervene and advocate for yourself. And putting yourself first, you're not selfish. You're the caregiver. And you have to be okay to be able to take care of all everyone else and everything that goes with it. The bills at all the places, both households. Because bills still are paid at both households. Everything, all the doctor's appointments, managing the calendar for yourself, your children, and the patient. Like all of those things that you have to do are overwhelming. So sometimes you just take a moment to yourself and just say, you know what? This I'm gonna take a minute to be selfish. And that's okay. Being selfish is okay. So I want to thank you tonight. We're done a little early. Like I said, only take 30 minutes or less of your time on Fridays. And I'm so glad that you came and you joined me. Next week's series is our new series, and it is the Need to Know series, right? And the first episode will be about rehabs, assisted livings, and nursing homes, and how to pick them. What are you looking for? How to figure out what you need when you have to pick these places for your loved one, your parents or your loved one. So I hope you tune in next week. I thank you for showing up. Make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you do all of those things so we can get as many people to know about what is coming down the pike that may affect all of us or some of us being a caregiver, full time caregiver, unpaid caregiver for your loved one. So please just share it. Thank you so much for coming. I look forward to seeing you guys next week and signing off your favorite bestie, Giovanni G. Bye.